Today's episode of Wine Time Fridays is brought to you in part by our friends at Seasons of Coeur d'Alene and Cinder.
It's been a long week, right? Are you ready to wind down? Why not? It's time for the Wine Time Fridays podcast with Shelley and Phil. Neither are sommeliers, but both have a deep passion for life, each other, and of course, delicious wine. And now, here to talk about this week over a glass of wine is Shelley and Phil. It's wine time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Wine Time Fridays with Shelley and Phil and more guests from Washington in this month of WAugust. Episode 331 on this 21st of August. Shelley, I've got wine bells for you. Happy Friday. It's wine time.
Yeah, it's a long story.
It's not that long. Last week I forgot to bring the wine bells, and so we had to clink glasses and all that stuff.
That was important.
Yeah, we have an affinity for bells, so we're okay with that.
I know you do. Yeah, we kind of had to do that. We are here today with Alan Holzheimer. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Holtzheimer.
Holtzheimer.
But you got the Alan part right.
First names can sometimes be tough. Is that right, Alan?
Correct.
And
Pat.
Zach.
Yep.
Who is the assistant winemaker when he's not running their tasting room, if I'm not mistaken. I had to do some fancy footwork and research because Zach is a last minute guest, and we are so happy to have you on, Zach. I have a question right off the top for Zach first.
Okay,
is
ready.
It Cougs or is it the Eagles?
It's Eagles first, but I thought you were going to ask Cougs or Huskies, and my answer is neither. So I'm more about the drama, so I will root for whoever's the minority in the room. I had friends go to both schools. I love both of them, but I like causing arguments between my friends. So if there's more Huskies in the room, it's go Cougs. If there's more Cougs in the room, it's go Huskies. But I'm go Eagles either way.
Well, I'm guessing you're pretty happy that you got Coop over playing for the Seahawks, right?
Yep. That was pretty cool.
And Zach and Cooper were at Eastern together.
Oh, is that right?
I think he graduated the year I went there.
Yeah.
The year before I went there, but he was still around. Met him once.
Just because we're so close to football season, he is an amazing player, and he's very cerebral.
His brain is his best football weapon for sure.
Yeah, because he doesn't have blazing speed or anything like that. But have you guys been watching any of the Hard Knocks?
A little bit, yeah.
So good.
Welcome to Wine Time Football.
Wine Time Football. Hey, look. Hey, we can do that into a WTF.
Yeah.
Wine Time Football. It does too.
We're happy to do wine. We're happy to do football. We're happy to do golf. Seems like it's appropriate to talk about WNBA a lot right now. So whatever you want to talk about, we're pretty good.
Well, we may not go on the hot topic buttons on this one because the WNBA has gotten pretty hot.
Yes, it has.
So the other ones, I'm more than happy. Anyway, we opened a 2025 Silver Bell Winery Essence. And we're going to do a proper Wine Time Fridays toast, which is to health, wealth, abundance, gratitude, romance, and Shelley.
Rain. And peace on earth.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, you guys do.
Rain. It would kind of be nice.
It's a slightly effervescent.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
nice. And why is this called Essence?
This is the most classic, most traditional white Bordeaux blend that we make, and it is kind of the essence of our winemaking. It was also the word essence came from, we were trying to have a name that encompassed what we were doing as a family and coming together and being a family winery. And that is the family's the backbone of our winery. And so that's the essence of our our business and our winemaking and all of it. And so there's no real one answer. We all had different reasons why Essence was a great name.
And it wasn't trademarked.
And it was not trademarked. First and foremost, it was available.
Yeah.
Those pesky little trademarks.
It's pretty amazing. I jokingly say the most difficult part of the winery business is naming wines that are not trademarked already, because you go through the battle between the three of us. My wife Diana is the third party that's not here, and we pick a name, and that in itself is a challenge. And then you go and you check on it, and it's always trademarked. And so like, I know you get to start that.
And we're 4 hours deep trying to pick a name that ties into something we're doing and ties into our story and has a marketing value. And 4 hours later, you find out it's already trademarked, and you scratch a line through it and start over.
Yeah.
And so
it's tricky, and trademarks are funny because they're not necessarily like you could say you're trademarking them and go through the process, but if you're not actually using it, somebody can come and poach that. So you guys are using this. No one's going to poach this.
You betcha.
By the way, can I just mention, Shelley, do you know what the alcohol is on this?
I do not.
10.8. Are you happy?
I love that. That is really good.
This is fantastic. And by the way, most of these lower alcohol wines have a little sweetness to it. I'm not really getting the sweetness at all on this.
Very dry.
Right. So when the winemaking side of this is we buy Semillon fruit and Sauvignon Blanc fruit from Rosebud Vineyard on the WAugust slope. And these are 23, 24-year-old vines now. They're and it's spectacular fruit. And we bring them into the winery and we make the wines separately. To treat them as separate individual single varietal wines. And then once they're ready to go, they've been filtered, bottle ready. Then we get together, and my wife, his mother, kind of leads all our blending, but we sit down and we try out the blends in various percentages and work through the process and make essence out of them. And then we also bottle the two component wines in smaller quantities by themselves as well.
Nice. As 100%.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is 50-50.
It is.
This is our most popular, most consistent white wine in the tasting room, but the blend percentage will change year to year. We really let the grapes tell us what is the best combination for this year. And so we've had Semillon dominant essence blend. We've had Sauvignon Blanc dominant essence blend. This year we get the most traditional version of a 50-50 essence blend. But we really just want it to be the best it can be. And sometimes that requires a different combination.
And to the point about being sweet, we don't have sweet wines here. We have made dessert wines in the past, and we are talking about making a port again, but for the most part, our palate is dry wines, and that's what we prefer. So that's what we make.
It's funny. Last week we were at a Rotary meeting. We are involved in Rotary, and
Rotary.
One of our members, I said, "Can I?" Because we're Rotary on the rocks. So I mean, we're the happy hour Rotary Club. I said, "Can I pour you a glass of wine?" She's like, "Yeah, what do you got? Sweet." I'm like, "Jessica, we don't have sweet."
Yeah.
She should know that. So I poured her a Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand, which
not sweet.
It's not sweet, and hopefully she liked it. She said she did. Anyway, we appreciate that. There's a time and place for sweet, right?
Yeah,
there absolutely is.
Sauterne or something like that. You're going to get that for sure.
Stone would be fun.
I'll give you a little advance warning. We're live in our tasting room. We have customers about to walk in, which means our little dogs that are running around are probably going to bark. So forewarn you. There we go.
There they go.
Like on cue.
By ironically,
we have a little
ours is outside, and I was like, "Great, Lucy, you can stay outside during the recording." She's barking at the neighbors right now, and she'll probably want to come in a moment. Yeah, boy, it's so funny, Zach. You do that. That's exactly what I do through half of our recordings that were like this. I'm down here snapping below the table. Bark. It's hard to edit that out. Oh, yeah. This is fantastic. I have to ask you. Last week we talked about the smokes in Chelan. 1 week later removed. How are things going? Are you concerned?
It's getting better. the Little Giant fire is, they're getting it under control. Right now, the prevailing winds are actually blowing the other way, and we're getting smoke some up from the fires up further north of us.
Yeah.
So the view is a lot better. If I could, I'd turn the camera around, but we can see the other side of the lake, and you can't smell it in the air today.
Oh, good.
So, and you can always, if anybody's interested, you can go to our website, and we have a 24-hour, we call it the Silver Bell Winery weather cam. You can see what it looks like over here.
Yeah, I will. I will take a look at that. That's a really good idea, to be honest. Of course, you don't know if you're going to get any of that smoke taint until you put it in the bottle, which is got to be really, really, really frustrating.
So frustrating.
So I got to.
We don't even know the origin of Silver Bell.
Oh well, I'm going to ask this question first, and then we're going to get to Silver Bell because we've got a number of different AVAs represented in this tasting today, all under the big Columbia Valley AVA.
Yes.
Yep.
Which is really kind of fun. But I was going to let you both know, as we're diving into these wines, and before we hear the complete journey of both of you, I have to share a quick story from a good friend of Shelley and I. Ours. Okay, mine.
Not mine.
Chris Cochran. And this is how I came to know Silver Bell Winery. Back in the spring of 2014, when Zach was just 5 years old. Okay, maybe 10 years old.
He stalked you. He knows how old you are.
Chris and his wife Heidi took a weekend trip to Laconner, and they were wandering through town and happened to stumble, which makes perfect sense for Chris, into your tasting room. Alan, you were working behind the counter that day, and Chris said you guys had an absolute blast chatting, and they, of course, walked out with some of your wines. And he told me, and this is a quote, "I wish I had saved one of those bottles, but alas, they are all gone."
Well, one, let him know we have more.
I will.
And we will ship, so we can solve that problem for him.
Perfect. I think that he's still on your email list.
Yeah, that's really fun for us because we, Diane and I, when we started the winery, it was definitely a hobby that outgrew our garage. And our tasting room in Laconner was, we jokingly to ourselves called it our practice winery. We knew that we wanted to move to wine country. We knew we wanted to have a bigger, more business viable winery than that. So, but he and his sister were still in school, and we couldn't leave the school district there. And not to begrudge the place, but Skagit County is not the wine mecca of Washington State. It's a little tough to sell wine there in quantity. So we don't hear a lot of stories about people that visited us in that tasting room, but it's really fun when we do. In fact, we just had some people walk in the tasting room last weekend that came up and gave me a hug because they remembered me from Laconner. So
how cool is that?
Yeah,
it's pretty fun.
Skagit Valley is not all that far from the San Juans, which is the Puget Sound AVA. Am I kind of correct on that? I mean, it's just
the Puget Sound AVA covers from Tacoma all the way up to Bellingham, I think.
Yeah,
it's basically both sides of the Puget Sound.
Right.
It's really big. So, and I don't know if the islands are in there or not. I've never really paid that much attention to it, but it's a big area. Not a lot of grapes grown in it, but it's a big area.
When you look back at those early days of pouring in Laconner versus sitting where you guys are right now in your beautiful Manson tasting room, how does that evolution feel? Because this is really cool.
It's actually unbelievable. We there's just so many things. One of our wines is named Aubaine. It's actually Aubaine in French, but we say Aubaine because that's what we like better. But it's kind of a nod to the loose translation for that is godsend or windfall. And there were a lot of things that happened between Laconner and here that we didn't work for, we didn't earn, that just there's no other way to say it. God was on our side. There are some big miracles there. And so, yeah, sometimes it's it's a little overwhelming to be here. You know, the loans are bigger, and the pressures are bigger, and the payroll is bigger, and the winemaking is bigger. Everything is bigger. So in some ways, I kind of miss those simple 300 case per year days. There was not that pressure, but this is a dream come true. We're so happy to be here. And, you know, it's just, it's everything we dreamed of times 4. So,
That's awesome.
yeah, it's great.
Curious how you came up with times 4 instead of times 5.
Just keeping you on your toes.
Or 3.
Or 3.
Family 3.
I don't know where I came up with that. It just flows out.
and that's the beauty.
Yeah.
Yeah, the journey was okay. Garage winemaker, 2010 first release, La Conner tasting room, and then moving to Manson. Is it 2021? Is that right?
We bought the land that we're sitting on in 2016, and then I worked in the power generation industry for Puget Sound Energy at the time, and we bought the land. It was a great job. It let us buy this land, and then 4 months later, our plan was just to sit on the land, pay it off until I retired, and then we would move over, and then 4 or 5 months later, I was offered a job at one of the dams, also power generation, making the same money, which is hard to do on this side of the mountains. And so we sold everything, packed up and moved, and didn't really know how we were going to pull off a building, what we were going to do, but we couldn't pass up the job and the opportunity to get here. So we closed the tasting room in La Conner in December of 2016, stopped making wine, moved over here and put on our construction hat. And we spent 4.5 years building our structure by ourselves. So we did all the excavation and building and wiring and plumbing, and we did it all ourselves. So that was a 4.5 year process. And then we reopened in 2021, which is what you mentioned.
That's a big adventure.
Big undertaking. And Zach, you were a part of that. Getting your hands dirty, essentially, is what I understand. Is that true?
The second half, yeah. I was
managing
I was still in school when they started construction. When I graduated and moved over here, they were almost done with the exterior shell of the building. I think one of the first things I helped with was painting the exterior of the building. And then we moved indoors, and I was here for a lot of the indoor. My dad and grandpa did a vast majority of all the everything up to that by themselves. It was awesome.
Did you roll the exterior, or did you use a paint pump?
Sprayed it.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, especially for new construction, you know.
Yeah.
It's the existing dwellings that are a little trickier.
It was one of the coolest projects we did. It was he bought all the right equipment, and it was big, but it was easy, and it went on nice. And we haven't done another round of painting since. The building still looks awesome from the outside. So,
well, what I remember from Chelan, it can be a little breezy.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, a little.
Which can challenge when you're spraying paint.
Yeah.
Been there, done that, where you get things set up. What's that?
The Joshua Tree.
Well, Joshua Tree for sure. But even when I did a project here in town, you think the wind's down. Okay. You go over, you set things up, you get the pump set up, and then it starts blowing. And
yeah.
What's that?
Well, we were pretty blessed. There is a couple months in the year where the wind doesn't blow. Nice. And that's when it's really hot. And that happened to be when we were painting. So we didn't have wind problems.
Yeah, paint can dry too fast.
Yeah. We also weren't too worried about we weren't too worried about it because we had dirt all around us. So overspray was not an issue. We hadn't poured our concrete outside. We hadn't
there's grass and sidewalks and landscaping now where any of that paint would have been. So we sprayed the heck out of everything.
Sure.
That's good.
Do you have a question on the label?
The name.
Silver Bell. Oh, yes. Would you ask that?
Would I ask that? Okay. Explain where your name Silver Bell came from.
You or me?
You.
The name Silver Bell comes from my mom's hijacked hospitality dream of owning a bed and breakfast. And she had a vision for owning this bed and breakfast called Silver Bell Inn. and it's very sentimental and personal to her, the Bell. But as far as how the winery came into being was my dad wanted to support that bed and breakfast dream, but also have a way to keep him occupied outside of it. I don't think he'd make a very good housekeeper. And so he found they found some nice winery and bed and breakfast combinations. And there was a vision there where he could, have a small winery and operate it out of the barn or something like that. And she could be running the farmhouse style bed and breakfast. And that, I think, was the first iteration of their bed and breakfast dream that also combined a winery. The winery plans seem to progress faster. I'm sure they have a lot more details, but from my perspective, the winery progressed faster than the bed and breakfast did. And then once they outgrew the garage and moved into the Le Connor tasting room, my mom kind of changed her tune a little bit on the bed and breakfast. She realized that she wanted to host people, and there were some details of the bed and breakfast model that she wasn't in love with, but it gave her the avenue to host people. And now she was getting to host people from 12 to 5 in their tasting room, but everyone goes home at the end of the day, and you're not a 24/7 property manager, you're not the housekeeper, you're not all these things, but you get to still host the people and serve others. And so she was getting some of what her initial dream was that she wanted, but he was also getting something out of it, and it evolved into a cool family business, but it stemmed from her personal dream of wanting Silver Bell Inn.
Oh man, I love that. It's really, other than obtaining wine for free, the stories are really why we do this podcast. Well, that's how it started.
Wait, you get this wine for free? I thought we invoiced you for this.
Well, if you did, I may have accidentally deleted that.
Return to sender.
Yeah, we'll need those partial bottles back.
That's why we move every week.
That's why it seemed like it at one point in our life. I just opened the 2025.
Yeah, they're doing this out of a trailer.
Yeah. Be a new zip code next week.
That's exactly right. So you guys have been stalking us now. Okay.
Yeah.
What goes around comes around.
There
The 2025 Silver Bell Winery Rosé, which is this right here. But before I put the cork back in it, and I'm talking about the bottle, not me, I want to show you the top of the cork. And these are some of the most fun things. I didn't say funner because it's not a word. Most fun things to see actual the
good luck with that part.
I'm working on it without knocking the glass over. Okay, so some corks don't go back in, which is fine.
These corks they need a couple of months before they soften up enough to do that easily. We actually keep some corks from our last vintage of bottles around so that when we need to cork them for customers, we grab an older cork to do it with.
Hey Zach, can I share a secret with you?
Yeah.
This bottle of rosé will not last 2 months.
But we have those things.
Well,
we actually, it's funny. We ordered because we were out and we haven't needed them, because we're doing 4 reds tonight. I'm like, okay, that's a little aggressive. We have a product that we use. It's called Repour, and it's a little capsule, and it will work for
like a cork. 1
bottle of wine. And you don't lay it down. You stand it up, and as you pour, and then put that back on, it replaces. It's a science thing, and they work really well. And they will be here in about an hour or 2. So we will be ready, because I don't want to blow through wine just to blow through wine, Yeah. Okay. What is this a rosé of?
I know.
This is slightly dominant Malbec over Cab Franc. Almost 50-50. It's slightly 52% Malbec, 48% Cab Franc.
And I'll let you in a little secret on those numbers. They're what we call a WAG. For this wine, we bring in approximately equal tonnage of fruit, and then we press it, we put it together, and we ferment it, so it's kind of a field blend. And so the 48, 52 is based on tonnage, So,
and they come from two.
It's anybody's guess.
Yeah.
That what the actual percentage
They
is.
come from two smaller hand-picked vineyards that they're not weighing this. They're picking a full bin and then arcing it by this much, and that's our ton. And so somebody's going to have a little bit heavier of a hand each year.
Yeah.
Well, so Shelley doesn't seem to remember the rules of Wine Time Fridays. We're going to do hashtag cheersing before we actually.
Cheers.
It's in the handbook.
Thank you.
There's so many things in those bylaws that I haven't read.
Yeah, those bylaws haven't been written yet. This is fantastic. What does WAG stand for?
I'm not going to say that in a podcast. The first word is wild and the last one is guess.
Oh, I like it. So if we were talking about a donkey, which we would sometimes call an ass.
Yeah.
So
wild donkey guess.
It's a wild donkey guess.
Wild donkey guess. There are general rules before we can slap an explicit tag on this, which we've only had to do twice, maybe 3 times. And it's only for 2 different guests. And they repeatedly, those 2 will always get, we'll say Ed Holmes from J. Bookwalter and Russell Mann. Always. After that second glass of wine, the F-bombs are flying.
We'll try to keep it to a minimum, but this is a lot of wine. So
I try to save that for the golf course.
Yeah. Oh, man. What is your handicap, Zach?
About a 7 or an 8.
Oh my God.
I was going to guess that.
Get out of here. And Alan?
18.
See, I'm double Alan's.
You are?
Yeah. 36. That 18 times 2 would be 30. Yeah. I know that we promised never to have math on this, but so well, that pretty much says I will not be golfing with you guys.
Well, that's what the handicap is for. It equals it out.
Yeah, it's supposed to. Yes, it is supposed to. This is fantastic. I love this.
Yeah, it's kind of fun when we the nature of the fruit when you press Cabernet Franc. So we bring the fruit in, we dump it right in the press. It's a whole cluster press fruit, and the Cabernet Franc presses completely clear like white wine. There's no color in it when you press there, and then the Malbec can press a little bit pink, even without fermentation. And so most years, just natural pressing, we end up with the color that we really like. We tend to make it on the lighter side color-wise if we can, because it's really easy to make rosé a little darker, but it's pretty tough to take color out. So, but most years we just press it and it is the color that it is. So it's a fun wine to make. And it's worth noting, you mentioned earlier that through this tasting, we're all over Washington State, a lot of AVAs represented here. This is the one wine that we make out of Lake Chelan grapes, although I don't think we're going to do that this year because of the smoke. So
I'm guessing there are a lot of growers that are going to be losing some business
over in Canada also.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate, but we do try to make this here. And kind of going back to that, one of the things that we like to do. So my winemaking is focused on the single varietals. I like to go to what I feel is the best vineyard that we can get access to for each particular grape. And then I focus on making those wines on their own as single varietals as good as I possibly can. And then my wife kicks in, and then Zach helps me with that. And then my wife kicks in, and she's actually the one that does the wine blending. She's the one of the 3 of us that has the best palate, the best nose, the best memory, the most creativity. She should be in this podcast, but
he and I could team up and make our blends, and not one of ours will make it to here.
Yeah, we don't ever rate. So
she's much better at it.
She's not here because she's with our grandkids babysitting. So it's a lot of fun.
So this is really interesting because it's truly a family affair.
It is.
And you guys said that she's got this amazing palate, which is fantastic. You're very blessed with that. But I'm guessing that there is a process where you can start gaining some skill in that over the years will happen? Maybe, yes.
Oh, absolutely.
We've all gotten better
Yeah,
as we're going.
the first when we were in La Conner, again, my preference for winemaking is to make oops, I'm whacking the microphone. Sorry about that. Is to make single varietal wines, and it's about vineyard selection, and it's about fermentation temperatures and yeast selections. And the first year when we were here, air a little bit of our dirty laundry because these wines are all gone now. But we had taken that 4.5 years off, and we didn't make wine. So the first releases that we did, we actually bought other people's finished single varietal wines and we blended them. And my wife and I fought. He wasn't too involved in that year of blending, but we fought about it. It was really hard to blend wines, and we'd never really done it before. We didn't have any experience. We didn't have any mentors. We were just, doing it by ourselves, and it was hard. And I think two things, like Zach said, we're all getting better at it. We've learned. We've also got, each one of our wines, our blends has a lead grape in it, so they all automatically have a character that they go with. But we're 3-4 years into those. We have a good starting point for our blends for the next year. We can open up last year's blend and say, okay, we did a really good job on that. Let's win. Let's beat that. And so but we have a good starting point and we're more experienced at it. So it is easier, and we are all getting better at it, especially her. But yeah, it's experience is a big deal.
And memory.
Yeah,
the memory. And for the record, so that we clear it up, all of the wines that we're releasing right now have all been made by us in our winery and then blended with Diane leading it. So we don't have any more of those buy and blend wines in a tasting room.
Look, you got to do what you got to do sometimes,
Well, yeah,
we had a big new beautiful building and it was empty.
Yeah, and you got to pay the power bill, so you need to sell some wine, and so that's what we had to do. But yeah, it was fun, and the wines are really good. We aren't embarrassed by those wines, but
Sure.
it was a little bit weird selling other people's wines for that first year.
When you did that blending, now I guess you're making it your own.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lose.
Yeah. So what did we think about the rosé? We didn't talk about the wine itself.
I think this is fantastic.
It's really good. Also, you're not going to win. Also, low alcohol.
10-4.
Which is very fun.
We don't need to bring that over yet.
Oh, I thought we were taking a break. Okay.
No, we're talking about this. This is fantastic. And I want to know, because we've had now your essence and your rosé. I want to know some food pairings. This is such an easy drinker. I will never say too easy, but this could be too easy to drink. This is really easy to drink.
Yeah. Well, the camera is facing the wrong way, but if we were to turn it around, we have a beautiful, beautiful outside patio that overlooks the lake. And other than right now, you can see Stormy Mountain and a whole bunch of hills and stuff on the other side. It's like being at Lake Geneva in Switzerland or Lake Como in Italy. It's just that beautiful of a space. And we have some friends that call this our porch pounder. we're not going to put that on our marketing materials, but
we won't endorse it, but it's true.
That term gets a bad name.
Yeah.
Sometimes, a bad rap. But sometimes, probably more times than not, it's absolutely appropriate to use. Yeah. And I think you're right about that.
So
I prefer summer sipper.
Yeah, summer sipper is good.
There's all sorts of alliterations we can probably come up with.
But we make our white wines. We're in a beautiful spot here. It's hot. It is a place where people love to come and sit under an umbrella and sit on the patio and enjoy the view, enjoy wines. And so we do make them a little bit low alcohol, and we make them intentionally to pair with a beautiful day on the patio.
Sometimes that can be tricky when you get those sugars that are a little higher.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Again, we don't have hot sugars in them, so we solve that no problem.
What are the bricks when you pick the Malbec and the Cab Franc and the
Oh, you're gonna test me.
No,
He's
well, maybe.
itching. You're making him want to go open a spreadsheet.
Yeah, we have software and spreadsheets for that.
Oh, that'll make
Um,
Shelley have
if I
PTSD.
remember, if I remember right, like 21, 22 bricks converts
Okay.
to
Yeah,
10,
yeah.
11% alcohol, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to testify to that. I don't remember.
No, but that kind of makes sense a little bit.
Yeah.
It comes out as a 10-4.
Yeah, 20, 25, 26 bricks gives you 14, 15% alcohol. 20 is around 10, 11, something like that.
Seems like we had a rosé sometime in the last month that was a 14.3 or
I
something.
think so.
Yeah, and
Woo.
yeah, that's just hot.
I don't know how you would press grapes that are that ripe and not have it look like a red wine, because as they get riper, the skins get more malleable and they give up their color easier. And so I don't know how you make a rosé at that bricks level, but obviously somebody does it.
Snoop Dogg did.
Don't,
Snoop Dogg.
please don't.
Looks like red Kool-Aid.
Yeah, it tastes like red Kool-Aid too.
So is your property then a good venue for weddings? I'm asking because my daughter is an event planner.
Up until recently, the answer was a hard no. We have kind of softened on that stance a little bit, but we do have some limiting factors. Our parking lot, our facility, yes. Our parking lot has more of a struggle. So we've been saying yes to some smaller weddings and mostly like rehearsal dinners. We've done a lot of those. We love letting people rent out the winery and them have the whole space for the evening. And, we just have a staff member or two on pouring wine for them, and they basically just have the space. That's the most common version. We've timidly, yes, depending on some of the variables, but
what he's dancing around is I have a hard rule about we're not going to affect our tasting room traffic with our events. So
most weddings are during operational hours.
Yeah,
so we struggle with it.
Everybody wants to do it on Saturday afternoon at 2:00, which is our busiest time in our tasting room every week. So it's a little limiting on that.
So what
But
if
like you
someone
said,
came at you with a $20,000 check? Now you're still gauging, okay, that's a nice little payday, or 30,000, whatever it is. I'm trying to come up with a number that it's hard to say no. But then you run the risk of those that wanted to come visit you and it says closed for a private party.
Yeah, exactly.
And so there's that little bit of
That's our main dilemma.
And I lean pretty hard on that second side.
Sure.
What's the opportunity cost of, not only is it a visitor that came in, but what if there were you're on a podcast now. Enjoy.
If it were up to us personally, the answer would be no all the time. We are a winery. We want to focus on the wine, and that's our mainstay. But there are months where you're right. We got bills to pay, and maybe a wedding wouldn't be so bad this month. And so, but it definitely is not a priority for us we are doing more and more of private events, and we're scaling that up a little bit, but we don't want to lose touch of the winery and the wines being our focal point. So there's a balance, and every event has different things that we love or don't love, and we say yes to some and no to others, and you just got to drink some wine first before asking.
All right, before we go to break, food pairings on the Essence and the Rosé. What do you think? What do you going?
Seafood.
Generally speaking, when people ask that question, I punt and I let my wife answer those because she's also the chef in our family.
That's football season too. So.
Personally, I love white wine and Dungeness crab and a big thick bowl of butter. You can't go wrong there. But these are citrusy, acidic wines, so anything where you need to cut through some of the fat that's in the food really goes well. Spicy foods. My wife makes a not super hot, but a cayenne shrimp that we grill, and we put it over Caesar salad, and you can't go wrong with the Essence in that. That's what we open.
We've actually used in previous every March, the Chelan Valley does a Taste Chelan event where you pair foods and wines, and we've actually done previous Taste Chelans, one with that vintage of Essence and one with that vintage of Rosé. And they were similar style, kind of the bruschetta style bite, but the Rosé one had fresh strawberries and like a balsamic glaze on it. The Essence was a fresh peach bite There was some spreaded cheese and some other ingredients in there, but we went peach with the essence and strawberry with the rosé. And so I know a citrus salad was on the menu that didn't make the cut because we liked the peach bite more, but there's lots of light bites that go well with these whites and rosés.
Yeah.
There's just nothing like getting a perfect wine and food pairing.
Oh, absolutely.
Just transcends. We're going to take a break. And when we come back from that said break, we're going from the pink to the red.
The light pink.
The light pink.
The ballet pink.
The ballet.
Light pink.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Wine Time Fridays, episode 331 on this August 21st. My best friend's birthday is tomorrow. We are talking about, well, we're talking about Silver Bell's wines.
Silver Bell.
Silver Bell's
There's only one.
wines.
Oh, there you go. Apostrophe. I missed the apostrophe.
Possessive.
Thank you.
Alan and Zach.
Ooh. Okay. Well, first,
Good.
This
must have the Cab Franc in it.
The Moxie.
So we when you invited us to do this, we of course did some stalking, and I watched a few of your episodes, which were great. But in one of the episodes, you mentioned that Cabernet Franc was one of your favorite wines, and so I thought it was appropriate that we started off our red wines with our Moxie, which is a Cabernet Franc led blend. So in your honor, Moxie.
Nice.
Man, nothing ever comes in my honor. This is all Shelley's honor. My goodness gracious.
So this is 75 Cab Franc, 10 Cab Sauv, and 10 Merlot, and 5 Petit Bordeaux.
This is just your Bordeaux blend.
Yeah. Zach likes to say in the tasting room, it's a non-traditional Bordeaux blend because you're going to get left bank and right bank Bordeaux's out of Bordeaux. So you're going to get Cab Sauv or Merlot dominant blends. But we are like you, we love Cabernet Franc. It's one of our favorite single varietal wines. And so we had to have a blend that was Cabernet Franc.
AVA Columbia Valley, #cheersing.
Cheersing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so
I like to jokingly call this one of our anti-Bordeaux blends in the tasting room. It's more of an ode to the beginning, the first vintage that they did, that they wanted to do this Cab Franc dominant blend. We love the Bordeaux style of winemaking, but they are so rigid in their traditions and what grapes go in what order. And we just feel that Washington State has some of the best Cab Franc and Malbec, and we just could not bring ourselves to every single year bury them at the bottom of these blends for the sake of traditional. And we wanted a Bordeaux blend that had all the characteristics, but we want to highlight the Cab Franc and highlight the Malbecs, and this was our avenue to do that.
It reminds me of Jolly Rancher cherry sticks.
I believe that when we were doing the tastings of the single varietals, that Jolly Rancher actually got written down, if I recall. Yeah, it was, I don't remember. It was probably the Cab Franc, but.
Under 14%, 13.5. God bless you guys. So
it doesn't always go that way.
I get it. I get it. But it's sure fun to see.
It's overused in winemaking to say, we're minimal interventionalists, or we let the, let things go naturally. But in this case, I really do. I don't like to bring in fruit. We pick on taste. We don't pick on lab results. So we have spectacular vineyards with growers that are just so knowledgeable.
Second and third generation
and we've gotten to know them personally, and they've gotten to know our wines. And where a lot of winemakers are visiting the vineyards, or they're taking lab samples, and they're bringing back, and they're doing all the testing, I really prefer to just get a phone call from the vineyard saying, "Hey man, it's ripe, come get it," because they know us and they know what we're looking for.
You drop what you're doing and you head over.
Yeah, and we've already got the trailer loaded. We knew it was coming, in the next couple of days.
Right.
And lab results I don't want to say the swear, so because you have, but lab results be damned. I mean, we don't like to adjust unless we have to. You know, if we came in and we had a red wine that was going to come out at 9% alcohol, then yeah, pre-fermentation we'd add some sugar. And if we have one that's going to come in at 16 because it's just, you know, killer ripe, then yeah, we'll water that back a little bit. But if I can avoid it, I don't like to adjust the grapes before we ferment.
Something tells me that this wine would be ripe for throwing a Carmenere in there too.
Yeah, we had a staff meeting
about it this morning,
and we haven't had a Carmenere yet. And my wife is we'll call it pushing that direction.
Come on, we haven't even had 12 hours to sit on that.
Yeah, so
it's one of our superpowers. We envision what you guys might be talking
about. Yeah. I didn't know that camera we had for monitoring the weather
was running early.
Had audio.
Yeah, it's also picking up a little sound.
Yeah, that's funny.
So you're in the vineyards tasting them. You will not rely on any technical device.
I won't say any. I do bring lab samples back, and I do pull all the, you know, I do the sugars and
when we get
acid and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I don't make decisions on that. For me, that's record keeping. And it's just so that we can reference back to what it was in years before. But I really will not make a decision based on lab results. We make decisions on taste.
The only thing you're missing out of this is the Malbec to make it a true complete.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when we were doing the blending, we just didn't feel like it needed it. It was tried. So we have our left bank Bordeaux blend, which is called Albain, mostly Cabernet Sauvignon. We have our right bank, which is called Stormy Mountain Silhouette. It's Merlot dominant. And then we have our Moxie, which is our Cabernet Franc. We have Bellmaker, which is Malbec dominant. And then what do we do for Petit Verdot? We haven't done that yet.
We don't. It's support role and everything.
Yeah, I'm going to try to make a little more Petit Verdot, and we'll talk about a blend with that in it too. But
we'd like to have a blend that is Bordeaux representative of the winemaking and the grapes within the blend, but that each grape of the Bordeaux model gets to be the dominant player, the star of a blend.
Yeah. We're getting there.
We don't like having grapes that are known as support role players and just blending grapes. All these grapes we're getting from these different vineyards in Washington are awesome, respectively. And
we bottled the Petit Verdot on its own. We have 100% Petit Verdot on the shelf behind us there, and it's fantastic.
Yeah,
it's just fantastic.
It's a tough one to have a standalone. We've had a couple of decent ones recently, but it's not always the case. Petit Verdot, Petit Syrah, both of those are tough if you go 100%. Zach, you got a marketing degree from Eastern?
Yes.
And you were in the enology program at Wazoo.
Yeah.
What a great combination for entering a family wine business.
Well, I didn't go back to school until the winery was the vision. So I have a 4-year gap post high school where I didn't do a whole lot of career planning. And my parents have very gracefully nicknamed that 4 years my beer and golf tour, which is a very nice name for what it was. I was a young 20-year-old with no plan, and I was drinking on a golf course daily. And it wasn't until it's actually one of our favorite stories.
That's 7 handicap.
Yeah, it was. It's actually one of our favorite stories. But I was bartending. I was in the restaurant world, and I was very good at it. I made good money. I was supporting myself. But you can't forward think like that. There's no upward momentum. You can't. There's no number of cocktails you make and then you own the bar. And so I was getting bored with the route I had chosen, and I wanted to do something. And it was right when my parents were having these real conversations about taking their little hobby winery in La Conner and moving it to Chelan and, swinging for it and turning it into a real business. And I thought that would be really cool. And I said, I want to help. And he said, no. Very, very direct.
By the
like
way,
that.
that's a great first answer, just to see how serious he really is, right?
Yeah. No, it was interesting. I was not a fan. I was pretty mad about it. And
I was, as a parent, I was a little frustrated with the lack of direction. And I saw an opportunity to say, oh, you want this? Earn it.
Earn
Earn
it.
it.
yeah, and so
So
but yeah, it was a dinner. They were grilling burgers and we were drinking Coronas and we were talking about this winery. And I left that dinner very angry because he basically had just said, "No, I don't need you. I can make wine. Your mom can run a tasting room.
well,
We've got
I
it.
think I also
Um,
said you're a restaurant server.
I can hire them
I
for
can hire
cheaper."
them for minimum plus
Yeah.
tips all day long.
And so
I love this so
I
much.
left pretty hot, and it took me about a month or so before I thought about it enough. And I came back and I said, "Okay, well, what skill set are you missing?" And that was what he said. He goes, "I know how to make the wine. Your mom knows how to create an atmosphere and an experience for people, but we're of the generation before you. We don't know marketing. We don't know the online sales and things like that." And I said, "Okay, well, I'll go back to school then." And so then I went back to community college in Mount Vernon and transferred over to Eastern and did the marketing degree, which coincided with when I
Sure.
moved here halfway in construction and off we
Right.
went.
That's so interesting. So, typically when we are ramping up to an episode like this, I probably should do more research on the socials, but I typically do that after it's all posted, and then I'll start tagging and all of this stuff. You guys have a good social media presence, I'm assuming? Zach?
Average plus.
The average plus, okay.
We go in waves. There's times that we're really diligent, we're very consistent, and we're delivering on it. And then there's times where still a family business, and our hands are in every cookie jar, and sometimes other things take priority. And then you have to remember that you're also doing social media, and you dive back into it. And so it's been pretty cyclical. There's strong months, and then there's poor months.
Before we move on too far, I'm going to say something. The statistics of a 25-year-old going back to college and completing a degree is single digit. I've done the research. So his mom and I are incredibly proud of him yes, I was the hot poker that prodded him, but to go back and get that degree. And we offered no financial help because now his sister was in college. They're 4 years apart. And we said, you got your 4 years, you blew it. And so he not only went back to college and beat a statistical improbability, but he paid for it himself. He worked. And so we're very proud of him, very proud of that. So
that's a nice follow-up to the beginning of the story.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool for us. So he cinched up his belt and he went to work, and we're very proud of him for that.
Well, I got to tell you, most things in life don't come easy. They take a strong desire, work ethic, passion, and sometimes they just come a little later in life. I'm still looking for.
Why do you think it's called Moxie?
Yeah, there you go. Touche.
That's why it's called Moxie. Exactly why.
This is an amazing wine, by the way.
Thank you.
I'll just kind of take a quick whiff on a bottle just to make sure we don't have any,
not good stuff,
corked or whatever. It's just I learned that from a somm here in town, and I've just become habitually. That's what I'll do.
Yeah.
This thing knocked me over. I'm like, holy crap! I just opened it, and it's in that little itty bitty spout, and it said, "Hello, Phil." And it's fantastic. As a 2022, this is great out of the bottle. Needed no time to open up. That's my opinion. You guys
Agreed.
know if I'm wrong or not, but
agreed.
Oh man! And thank you for going Cab Franc dominant. That's fantastic.
It is fantastic.
Ooh, what would you pair with this?
A wine glass and a corkscrew.
And some
a recliner chair.
A recliner and some Scotty Scheffler on TV. I don't know. That's a tough one for Zach and I. Diane's really our pairing person.
Didn't Scheffler have a good start to this weekend?
I haven't been able.
That's Jordan Jordan.
Spieth was up there.
Spieth
was up there.
Yeah.
I like seeing him at the top of a leaderboard.
Well, they were saying he's the only one that's not finished in the top 10 in the last, I don't know, but in all the invites on this tournament, which was over a week ago because we're a week in advance. But and of course, he's leading the leaderboard. How about that? I was going into today anyway, Friday. Okay. Cousins, we all love them.
Yeah. So fun story on this. Diane and I are proud new grandparents. Zach and Savannah have given us little Hudson, who's 2.5 years old.
Congratulations.
And our daughter Katie and her husband Haven have given us Hazel, who is pushing on a year right now.
No, 2.
2 years now. Sorry.
October, she'll be 2.
Yeah, 2 years now. Sorry, that was just bad math. And she came up with this idea.
He's grandpa. Bar's a little low.
Diane came up with the idea that she wanted to make a blend out of Cabernet Sauvignon and Petit Syrah, which we call Giriffe, by the way. And I'll tell you why. I can tell you that story too. But she had done some research. She did this blend. We did a trial on it. It was absolutely fantastic wine. And we had been looking for a way to incorporate our grandkids into a wine name. And since there are 2 grandkids and 2 wines in this, Cousins was pretty easy. So this is named after our grandchildren, his son and niece.
The first cousins of our next generation.
Yeah.
Have you
although my sister already messed this vintage up for us because right as we were releasing this, she announced that she was pregnant again. Which means the next year we need to introduce a 3rd grape to this wine and have 3. It'll be a 3-part. It's gonna be. She messed it all up.
Yeah.
So it could be 4 still.
It could be 4 still.
Maybe we'll call it Cousins +1 instead, or something like that. I don't.
One more cousin.
I don't know what we're going to do. But it is a fantastic wine. This has been wildly popular, pretty limited run.
Yep. Up till now, it's been one of our wine club exclusive blends. We released it to the wine club first. It was in our last wine club release. And because it was kind of a limited run, we didn't want it to disappear too quickly. So it's been it's been one of our more exclusive wines that will, now that it's had a little bit of time, we'll start opening it up to the tasting sheet and the public, and we'll start pouring a lot more of it.
And it's about 100 cases, I read.
Roughly, yeah. Yeah, it was 4 barrels, 2 barrels of each of those. So yeah, it was roughly 100.
We haven't talked about pricing. That Essence about $28 at the winery.
Hi, Jillian.
Rosé.
Thank you.
Hi, Jillian.
Jillian, have a great weekend or a great night. The Rosé about $28 at the winery. This the Moxie, which we just had, about $44 at the winery, and this Cousins is $46 at the winery. Yep. And why did you choose Giriffe instead of Petit Syrah?
Couple of reasons. One is a personal preference of mine, and the other is a marketing reason. And I'll give you both. But
start with you.
It's always about me, right? Petit Syrah is the dumbest name that ever existed for a wine. And I understand petite is spelled differently than women's clothing petite. But petite means small in people's minds, and Petit Syrah, or light, or thin, or whatever you want to do there. Petit Syrah is one of the biggest, boldest, heaviest, darkest wines out there. If you look on the ripening charts, it's the one that requires one of the most heat units to get it ripe. It's a big, bold wine, and to label it petite, to me, I say in here, there's nothing petite about Petit Syrah. So it's to me, it's just wrong. And then the marketing side is, I have a good friend, has a winery down in the Prosser area, and he had a glorious Petit Syrah, one of the best I've ever had. He labeled it Petit Syrah, and he just couldn't sell it. And I think it's the psychological disconnect between the word petite and what you get in the glass. And so he only had like 75 cases of this wine. It was a small lot for him, but he literally went and bought new labels that said Giriffe, and put them over the top of them, hand put them over the top of every bottle, and it just flew out of the tasting room.
Wow, that's amazing.
Because Durif is an interesting name. People haven't heard it before. It has a story. And the reality is it was originally called Durif overseas when it was created, and it wasn't until it was imported into the United States that somebody decided to call it Petite Sirah. So we're legally allowed to call it both names by the federal government.
Sure.
But just to me, Durif makes so much more sense. And the same thing here. We do bottle this as a single varietal. It's one of the few wines that we make that's not a Bordeaux. It's an interesting story how it came about. We have some friends that have a little vineyard down on the Columbia River right below us, and we had gone to their house for a pairing dinner for Albarino. And it was a great night. We had a lot of fun, and there was a lot of wine. And somewhere in that night, my wife, unbeknownst to me, agreed to buy some Petite Sirah from our friends Mary and Dirk.
Which happens after 3 or 4
Yeah, and so it's not exactly how we normally source our
Might have been a higher number than that.
And
trying to give her the benefit of the doubt.
So we get towards harvest, and we were still in construction. This was in 2020.
Yeah.
And I'm still, painting and hanging and wire and doing all this other stuff. And Dirk, who's the husband of the two, he calls me and he says, "Hey man, you might want to think about coming to get these grapes. They're getting ripe." And I was like, "Grapes?
What grapes?
Really? I didn't know about this." And he said, "Oh yeah, Diane said you wanted some the night we did the Albarino tasting."
We have it in a contract right here.
Yeah.
I was like,
she signed and sent a deposit. What are you talking about?
and if, and I'm a little more legalistic and factual and bold with people. And if it was up to me solely, I would have just said, "Sorry, dude,
you're out."
Because I didn't have it. My tanks were buried under construction materials. I don't know what box my lab equipment is in. I mean,
we had to borrow a bunch of stuff from the winery down the street, good friends of ours, just to make that Petite Sirah, because we couldn't find half of our winemaking stuff. We hadn't got that far into the end of construction to get organized.
I was a little miffed with my wife at that point. But
I'm sure you kept that to yourself.
But, oh yeah, sure.
Well, it's going on the internet right now.
Yeah, here it is. But it was fantastic wine, man. It was so good. That vineyard that they have is just, there's something about the Petite Sirah from there that's spectacular.
So you said you have behind you Petite Sirah 100%. Do you call it Durif?
We do on the bottle.
Yeah.
So I did do that research because I don't know if I knew this going into this episode, because I have a very low bar of knowledge. So anything is actually new to me. In the 1860s, a French botanist named Francois
Durif
cross-pollinated Syrah with an obscure French grape called Palorcin, and the resulting grape was officially called Durif in Europe. But when it was brought to North America, like Alan said, the amazing idea of calling it Petite Sirah because of its small berry size. And I might also add, it's got really thick skins too, right?
Very much so.
Yeah. Anyway, so
that's a pretty good thumb rule that the smaller the berries and the thicker the skins, the bolder the wine is going to turn out.
Yeah.
So
I love that you guys are calling it Durif. And maybe this will kick off other wineries. We'll kick Petite Sirah to the curb.
We know of a few.
Maybe if we were one of the estate wineries and we had it on site, it might be a little different because people could see the actual time that it's maybe petite in comparison, but we don't, and nobody's ever going to see that. They only get the big, bold wine out of it, so Durif it is.
Man, I got to tell you, this seems like it would taste really good with a ribeye. I'm just saying.
What doesn't taste good with a ribeye?
I am hungry.
Champagne, I think. But the jury's still out on it.
Valid.
Very few things that champagne and a good sparkling wine don't taste good with, but I think steak might be one of those few exceptions.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is fantastic.
We love this one. It was kind of a late. The wines are already in barrel. We were already starting to put our blends together. It was a late idea by Diane, but it was a dandy, I'll tell you.
When does she do most of her blending? Like what time? What part of the year?
Right before we bottle.
Right when we have something else going on.
Yeah. Usually when we're busy with something else.
I feel like Diane should be here to defend herself sometimes.
No, I like it better this way.
No, this is the only time we're right, I promise. She's the best. She's the best at it. There is no arguing with it.
Well,
she is the one who bought it. So.
That's right.
Yep.
Well, we're gonna take one more break, and when we come back, we're gonna I will have this one done, and the last two reds when we come back. Welcome back to Wine Time Fridays with Shelley and Phil, episode 331 with Alan and Zach. Exactly.
Wait, hang on. I thought your name was Pat.
Well, it may very well be at this point. Yeah. Don't know.
Yeah. So for people listening, So for people listening, I sent Phil a text right before we started, and my phone auto-corrected to Pat. So now he's officially known as Pat for us.
My phone, when I'm dictating and I say the word wine, it turns into WSJ Wine.
Wall Street Journal Wine Club.
What's that?
Well, it's a wine club through the Wall Street Journal.
Oh, Wall Street Journal wine. Yeah.
They must pay Apple. So whenever anybody says wine, you put WSJ Wine. That's the only thing I can think of.
That's genius.
Right? Well, it's genius, but it pisses me off.
We can't afford that.
We can't afford it.
And those wine, I'm not going to badmouth anybody. I know the Wall Street Journal wines. Kind of that model is to take wholesale juice and put it into bottles. And
right.
Look, they're probably going to make a killing this year after all these wineries after COVID thought, man, we're selling the crap out of wines because people are at home and drinking wine. And now the demand is less. And so they're sitting on all this juice. Who knows?
I didn't know that happened.
Which part?
the having extra wine in yeah.
That's
we don't know anything about that.
We had a sales rep for Veers on 2 weeks ago, and to kick off Washington Wine Month number 2, WAugust. And she said, yeah, they were sitting on all this juice after the supply from the 2020, 2021, 2022, that stuff. They're like, oh, we're selling a lot. We need to make more wine. And then people drank less because they weren't stuck at home. Not us.
We're not stuck at home. We still drink.
We continue.
Nor us.
Yes. I'm not going to let stupid COVID direct us. This is the 2022 Silver Bell Winery Malbec. And I'm looking back here, and I don't see anything except for Finney Hill Vineyards and Horse Heaven Hills. I'm guessing it's 100% Malbec.
You are correct.
See, I can be right.
So a personal decision for me is, so legally, we can put up to 19% of something else in a single varietal and still call it that single varietal. So this could be 81 Malbec and 19 fill in the blank.
So the cutoff is 80% in Washington, not 75.
I believe it's 20%. I could be wrong.
We don't do it, so we haven't been up against that line. Our 100% are almost every single time 100%.
Yeah.
I think there was one that we did like 3% Merlot just to soften it a tad or something like that. But we really go after 100%. So that number is really unrelative to us.
To me, that's something that is important to me. I mentioned earlier that my winemaking journey is to be a single varietal winemaker. Well, how do you say that and then put a lot of some other wine in your single varietal and still call it that? Right. So we make a lot of blends. And so if we're going to put that much other wine in a single varietal, we're just going to call it.
We'll add another varietal and just make it another blend.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
why not, right?
So that's just something that we kind of a hill that we are maybe not die on, but stand firmly on.
Oh yeah. Cheers.
Can you tell?
So fun story about this particular wine. 2022, as you said, a lot of people thought they were going to sell a lot of wine, as we did. And 22 was also an abundant year. Vineyards just grew, their crops just were huge. So grapes were available. It was inexpensive. We all thought we were all going to sell a lot because of COVID. And
Decent quality.
It was great quality. And so I said, we need this much Malbec. And we had a Malbec vineyard that we really loved, still do, but he couldn't get us any more. And so we went to a second one that was very highly recommended, and they got us some more, but it still wasn't what I needed. And I was on the phone with one of the vineyards that we get our Cabernet Sauvignon from. I said, hey, man, got any Malbec? And he said, absolutely. So we bought the balance of it from them. And through the 22 process, we left those wines in barrel for about 3 years before we started tasting and blending. And when we tasted we kept them separate. All three vineyards were kept separate. When we got done, we were ready to bottle the single varietal, and hands down, we liked the third one better. It fit more with the style we thought of Malbec should be. All three were really good. That's not a slight on the other two vineyards at all, but stylistically, we liked the Malbec from the third vineyard the best. And so this is a fluke that we have these grapes. It really is a fluke. And
will you continue to get these grapes?
Yes, yeah. We're going to shift and exclusively get grapes from this vineyard for our Malbec.
This is, I'm really enjoying the last 2 weeks of this amazing juice coming from the Lake Chelan AVA. And I get it. You have one, the Rosé, but you are more spreading the wealth to the other AVAs.
Yeah.
Because of what you're looking for, that's what you like stylistically.
Yeah. We have some wineries in the valley that are investing heavily in research and development and trying to really make Lake Chelan a growing region of note. I mean, they're doing a great job, and we love them for that.
It's getting better and better.
And the wines and the grapes that are being grown here are getting better and better. And so our choices on where we get our vineyards are not intended to diminish that effort or the quality at all, but we know exactly what we're trying to do, and we know exactly what we want our wines to be, and we just stylistically don't choose to get our grapes from Chelan. We go to different vineyards all over the state to get them. We love that our rosé is from here, and we can do rosés and white wines from here in the style that we want. But the same thing that causes this to be a longer growing region, which is that huge lake out there, it also doesn't allow it to stay quite as hot through the night. And so it's hard to get the big, bold Bordeaux reds fully ripe to the style that we want here. And so that's why we're sourcing elsewhere for those wines.
Seems like that's why maybe Pinot Noir is finding a home in Lake Chelan AVA.
I think so. Yeah, Syrah does really well here. A lot of great white wines here. The Cabernet Franc is really good.
Here is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is so fun. It seems like a good time to talk about the Revora wine word of the week. Wine words of the week. Do you know what it is?
Terroir sourcing.
Terroir sourcing. I'll read it.
Okay.
Say that 3 times fast.
You can even
3 times fast.
That.
That's true. That. Terroir sourcing, terroir sourcing, terroir sourcing. I am a professional broadcaster. Sorry. The art of sourcing grapes from distinct microclimates across multiple AVAs, such as, in this case today, Walluke. Is it Walluke or Walluke?
Walluke.
Walluke Slope, Horse Heaven Hills, and Lake Chelan. To balance heat, acidity, tannin, and fruit expression within a single winery's portfolio. That, in a nutshell, is exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That's what we're doing. And to be fair, on a lot of our blends, we're calling them Columbia Valley, but there's fruit coming from Red Mountain, Walluke Slope, Rattlesnake Hills,
Horse Heaven
Hills. There's more. I don't have notes in front of me, but if the blend isn't 75 or 80% from that AVA, you can't call it from that AVA. Columbia Valley is what we do because we're all over the place, so it's an easy one to to encompass the blends as a whole. So the single varietal wines, we will name the actual micro AVA that they come from, but the blends often have to be called Columbia Valley because they're coming from multiple smaller AVAs.
I mean, Columbia Valley AVA is huge. How many sub AVAs are within the Columbia Valley AVA?
It's a great question for a journalist.
I mean, what do you sort? Not me. What are you sourcing? What are you sourcing from Red Mountain then?
So we get our Cabernet Sauvignon comes from Red Mountain and Horse Heaven Hills. In 2022, we got Cabernet Franc and
Merlot.
No, Merlot came from Rattlesnake Hills. I think those two from 2022. That was 4 years ago, by the way. So I have a hard time remembering what I had for breakfast.
Hallelujah.
This is why we have software and spreadsheets. So all this stuff is kept somewhere.
And Apple Notes.
Yes, sir.
And Apple Notes. Everything goes to Apple Notes.
How many times are you driving down the road and you hit record on your Apple Notes and you put it all in there? So
I only do that when I'm driving by myself. Not ever when Shelley's in the car, because that's dangerous.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with her.
Exactly. I'm gonna make a shirt and I'm gonna send it to Zach. Okay. And it's gonna say Zachley. Wine Time Fridays and Silver Bell Winery.
I'll wear it.
Yeah, you will. Can we move on to the next wine? This is fantastic. You guys are killing it, by the way. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. I understand.
I love this wine. I'm not much for talking about notes in wines. I like the customers to have their own journey, but I love the bright cherry aromas in this one. They just jump right out at you.
This one coming up or the one we just had?
The one we just had.
The Malbec.
The Malbec, yeah.
Love that.
I still have it, Shelley. I didn't dump mine out yet.
I still have mine and hers, and apparently we're going to have one glass on the Cab Sauv. That's how we roll. 63% Arts Vineyards, 37% Benny Hill.
Correct.
The same that the Malbec came from. Oh, I'll just do this. The 2021, the oldest wine in our lineup tonight, Silver Bell Winery Cabernet Sauvignon. Is there a better sound than that right there? Okay.
Nope.
I was waiting for an answer.
I don't know. A perfect drive on a par 5, the ping off the driver is pretty nice.
I've heard pings off the driver that sound the same as a good shot that are not good shots. So
we live on the golf course.
We live on the golf course.
Do you?
And we hear these things, and they're on the roof.
Which golf course?
Yeah, which golf course?
Public.
Coeur d'Alene Public Golf Course.
Oh, right.
Very nice.
Awesome.
Now, when we were putting this together, Diane and I talked about visiting my parents in Colfax and getting a little golf done, and then we ended up not doing that. Thus, we're doing this via Zoom. You failed to mention you lived on a golf course in those negotiations.
Oh, note to self. Again, remember, we go way back. I'm probably not one to golf with you guys. Although I feel like having not golfed for 3 years, I could probably go out and hit a pretty good shot because I wouldn't be overthinking it.
Maybe.
In my mind, I'm dreaming of golfing well.
My first couple rounds every single year go very well because it's all muscle memory. And then I start in, becoming involved with my own golf swing, and I derail. So,
all right. So what balls do you hit, Zach?
Mostly Pro V1.
And Alan, how about you?
Vice Pro.
So I would hit Titleist because I have like 400 Titleists in my garage.
Because you live on a golf course.
Touche.
That's a good gig. That's a good gig right there.
We do have Callaways, but the vast majority, like 70% of the balls we get in our backyard are Titleist of one.
Interesting. The Pro V1.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's just, I feel pretty proud of not losing any golf balls in the last 3 years. I only gained them at the tune of about 220.
Can't say the same thing.
I wish you had one of yours. He customized his Vice golf balls. They have our Silver Bell logo on one side, and then the words on the other side say "Redeem for free tasting." So if somebody finds his golf ball out on the golf course and brings it into our winery, they will get a free wine tasting. But we get to keep the golf ball when they bring it back.
Zach,
that's a good market.
You're supposed to be the marketer, and here your dad is coming guerrilla marketing 101, thinking outside the box.
Well, I do think it's a little messed up that he did that the year that he had his biggest improvement in golf. He hits a lot less golf balls out of bounds than he did 2 years ago. So it was a business proposition 2 years ago. Now he's golfing pretty good.
11 handicap behind you.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, this is,
but it's a fun one. We just got when you go after the episode or whatever you said is when you do your social media stalking. One of our more recent Instagram posts was one of our golf balls being returned by some folks, and I took a picture of the golf ball and the guy holding it, and it was one of the first ones that's come back, and he got a tasting out of it.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's awesome.
That is so smart.
Let's go print some of it.
Well, I'm trying to get off of my airplane mode right now. I'm going right to their Instagram because that's what we do on a podcast while you're doing Audible or audio. I know. Doc talk, of course. There's
while you're doing that, we could talk about Cabernet Sauvignon.
Yeah.
So this is really a fun story, and it's the reason we're sitting here. But in 2000, so we had a couple of years we went from the little home brew juice kits that you can buy, the pasteurized juice that are horrible. And that was our first go round.
And you're floating oak chips in those?
What's that?
You're floating oak chips in that?
Oh, yeah. And it was interesting because you buy this and it says, take this juice, dilute it with this much distilled water, and then add packet A, and you're just, and then it's like paint by numbers. And then it says when this happens, which I couldn't even tell you what the steps are anymore. But when this happens, which is probably, it stops bubbling, add packet B. And I couldn't tell you what's in packet B. And then Diana and I got ready to bottle this wine, and we were sitting at our kitchen sink with a little siphon and a couple cases of wine bottles, and we tasted it. And I was like, what do you think of that? And she goes, this is horrid. And so we actually just siphoned it into the sink and just dumped it because we couldn't do it. And so that really was the beginning of my desire to become a real winemaker, because I started Googling, well, what's in packet A? What's in packet B? Why were you adding that? What's the reason behind that? And then my Navy nuclear power researchaholic thing kicked in hardcore. And next thing you know, I'm announcing that I had purchased a pH meter and we're going to go get some grapes in Zilla this year. And then it transitioned to in 2000, when we were on that grape trip, our friend Angie, who's not afraid to ask for anything. We were at Hedges Winery on Red Mountain, this beautiful luxury estate. We've been to a few wineries, there you go. And she just begged them, or basically demanded, that they sell grapes to us. And they do not sell grapes to small wineries. They are a big operation, premium, everything about them. And Angie convinced them that they needed to sell 1 ton of grapes to Little Silver Bell Winery, which wasn't called Silver Bell Winery. It was called Calamity Cellars at that point. And that was our home winemaking name. And so that 2009, we brought home a ton of Cabernet Sauvignon. And that's when we realized we could actually do this, because it was unbelievably good. It was so good. And so then we licensed the winery. We got Cabernet Sauvignon from Hedges again in 2010. And this is all gone. Maybe I shouldn't say this recorded, but the home winemaking wine was never supposed to be sold, but it might have got put into the 2010 because it was whopping 2 barrels total now. But we submitted that wine to the Seattle Wine Awards, which was brand new at the time, and we got a double gold on that wine. That's a big deal, and that was against big name wineries that are making big name wines. And Diane and I are like, maybe we've got something here. And so I've mentioned that I had believed myself to be a single varietal winemaker, which is not really true anymore. We do blends, a lot of blends,
Sure.
but it was really wrapped around wanting to be a world-class winery that made Cabernet Sauvignon. And, I don't mean this in an arrogant way, but I wanted to get in the Quilceda Creek realm. I wanted to be up there with Lacole and Quilceda Creek and these big name wineries, Leonetti and all those first generation Washington wineries that are just fantastic. We're not there yet, but it's pretty good. And Red Mountain's the place to get your fruit if you're going to do that with Cabernet Sauvignon.
So. And we love Red Mountain. I'm not going to lie. In fact, can we say this right now?
I don't know. What is it?
We picked up a new sponsor. We have not announced it yet.
We have not.
We picked up Frechette as a sponsor.
Oh, they're awesome.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
We love Shay and Greg.
Yep, they're great people.
Are the best. And
congrats.
It took 2 years before I even asked, because I was like, I don't want people just to think we're. And so I finally saw something on LinkedIn what Shay wrote, and I said, you know what, that's it. I texted Shay. I'm like, we need to talk. So
yeah,
2.5 weeks of negotiations, which were really nothing. And yeah,
that's great.
Sponsor Frechette. We love Frechette. We love Red Mountain, and we're very particular on who we ask to be sponsored, because they've got to have good juice, and they got to be able to, make enough wine to. Yeah, they have to be fun. So anyway, no, you guys are fun. Fun.
Okay.
And we'd be happy to have you on as a sponsor. We have to make sure there's room now. Anyway, and our little pup saw a squirrel. There you go. Yeah, it's a real thing. But anyway, so this is fantastic. And I love the story behind that, because, isn't it all about relationships?
It is.
Very relational.
Yeah, it is. Especially vineyard sourcing when you're a small winery like us. That, we don't have buying power. We can't steamroll in there and say, we'll write you this huge check. And we don't want that, honestly. We want relationships with our growers. I mentioned before that, I would be perfectly fine never making a vineyard visit, knowing that my vineyard managers know what we're trying to do with our wines. We have a relationship with them, and I just get a phone call that says, hey man, come get the fruit. I'd be great with that. Yeah, absolutely. That's the type of relationships we desire and have.
Well, and the first year is the toughest one, because we really like to send each vineyard that we get grapes from, the wines that their grapes turn into, we like to send them a case of it. So they've been getting the vineyards that we've been with for years now. They've gotten to taste our wines, every iteration of it. They know what we're trying to do with it.
If you will.
And I think it goes hand in hand.
Yeah, you guys get it. That's
good
for you. I love that.
We have one vineyard, and I will not name them because of this story, but they I was present with another winery that gets fruit from them, and he basically said, don't quit your day job, and we're not going to sell grapes to you anymore, because he didn't like what they did with their wines, with their fruit, excuse me. And, that was a little brutal. It was a little rough. I think that was inappropriate. However, I get where he's coming from, because their reputation is on the line with what we do with their wines. Sure. And
at the end of the day, isn't it basically one person's opinion versus another person's opinion?
No, I don't think so.
Ruin wine.
Well, for sure.
I mean, the winemaker can do things to it that, we have found that a vineyard, typically for a particular varietal of wine, has common characteristics. Part of our process, especially in the early part of our winery, was we would say, I think this is a vineyard that we want to get fruit from. We would ask them, who do you sell to? And we would go buy let's say it was Malbec, it doesn't matter which wine, but we would go buy all the Malbecs from all the wineries that get fruit from that vineyard. And there were always differences, but there was more commonality than there was differences in those wines. And so that was us. So I can see where the vineyard, if somebody is taking a wine out of that commonality and taking it somewhere that isn't what they're trying to do with their product, that they wouldn't be happy with that. And I think that's what happened in this case. So so it's a synergistic relationship. You can't make, I can't say that one because that's swearing again. You can't make chicken salad out of chicken poo. You need great fruit to make great wines.
You know that. Yeah, chicken poo here.
we call it chicken shit, but that's just us.
Well, now we have to put rated R on the episode. So I was trying to help you.
I think we get one or two bones before we get to it.
That is exactly what I say. And I get from their perspective why they would want to make sure that the people that take their love and caring product that they grow and make sure that it's
well, and the reality is they're out there every day all year round growing those grapes. We buy their grapes. It's a long round trip, and we bring them back up, and we have 6 to 8 weeks of an aggressive winemaking schedule, but then it's wine maintenance for us, and that's their entire year. Every single season they're outside, they're doing everything, and so that would suck to do all that work and then turn around and taste a bad wine
that has their vineyard on it,
that has their name on it. Whether they had any say or what's so.
Yeah, so I get where they're going.
And we have asked people who has the most important job. Is it the vineyard manager or is it the winemaker? And honestly, in my opinion, it's both.
But the winemakers usually say the vineyard manager.
Well, here's the thing. You can make crap wine out of good grapes, but it's really hard to make good wine out of bad grapes. You guys could answer that.
I would take it a step further and say it's impossible.
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys could tell me if I'm wrong, but it's what you said, impossible. But you can certainly screw up good grapes.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
And I think that's should be avoided.
Yeah. The reality is our winemaking quality would take a big step backwards if we planted grapes on this hill and we did all the farming, because we're not the farmers. We would be learning as we go. We're getting grapes from second, third generation farmers that they're not only good at growing it today, but they've seen the soils and everything change over the years. They are so dialed in with what they're doing. We would be so out of our realm. It would not be good.
You guys understand you're staying in your lane and you're doing what you feel really good about, and that's half of the battle, really.
Yeah.
Gosh almighty, I've gotten the side eye from Shelley a couple times because she said, "What'd you say?"
You could screw up a good podcast
by going too long.
Yeah. All right. Well, good talking to you. See you later.
No, that's all on me, guys. Some wines we enjoyed this week: the Santa Verdina Vino Verde, which we had for our lesser-known libations this last Monday. Yering Station Pinot Noir, you can say Cuvée Zone, the Window Chardonnay, Liberty Lake Wine Cellars Path of Gods. Some things coming up. August 28th is National Red Wine Day. We had 4 lined up today, and they're freaking awesome. September 3rd, International Cabernet Sauvignon Day. The 4th is National Chianti Day. And the 18th, International Grenache Day. What to expect next week? We don't know. We're trying like crazy to get a football kickoff and Washington wine. We could open a dossier and a double back and a passing time and just make it our own football kickoff. But I don't know if I want to do that. So I don't know. But it'll be a Washington wine. We might throw a little bit of the gourmet spreads. Terrapin Ridge. We don't know. So you'll have to tune in next week. Thank you to today's sponsors, Seasons of Coeur d'Alene and Cinder. Seasons of Coeur d'Alene is having a wine dinner the last Monday in September with Jay Bookwalter, just so you know. And I think that's it. I didn't ask how long has Lake Chelan been an AVA. Do you want to answer? You're
2009.
Really? So it's that new.
Yeah, it's one of the newer ones.
Well, it used to be. Now there's a lot of small new ones since then, but
yeah, I think there's 21 now, give or take. I think that's it. Anything you guys want to add that
we didn't cover?
That Fat Face Phil didn't mention during the.
You just mentioned the Red Wine Day at the end of the month. Which wine would you like us to highlight on that day?
Well,
The Cabernet.
But we can't do that because a couple days later is Cabernet Sauvignon Day. So I guess
that's not. Oh yeah. No, that's true. Cab Franc Day is not until December. You could kill two birds with one stone. Here's the thing. As a wine podcast, we actually on our website have a wine holiday calendar, which I try to keep as accurate as possible. And sometimes it's tough, but that fills in half of our content because we lean on that. I don't know why any winery that sells a Cab Sauv, a Cab Franc, and all of these different wine days wouldn't have a ramp up a month before that and start going heavy into that particular varietal. What I would choose for red wine, I just love Cab Franc.
Cab Franc on Red Wine Day?
Yeah, that's me.
So Moxie.
You got it.
So Moxie.
You got it.
Yeah. Shelley, what?
So I saw on your website the 2020 Aubin,
yes.
50% off a case because of the WAugust special.
Look at you.
Really?
That's what it says.
And Zach is like,
you gotta remember, Diana's. I tell people in the tasting room, she's the Wizard of Oz for our business. She does the most, but she's behind the curtain. You don't see her as much, and she props us up. And so she's the one thinking about the next sale and updating the website. And she does a lot that we're the ones sitting here drinking with you in front of the camera while she's probably on her computer working. So
with the grandkids,
she's our Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
The Cab Sauv, Malbec, and Merlot blend.
Well, what I think is funny is you say 50% off a case for WAugust, and you say, "Is that true?" And Alan looks over to Zach, and Zach says, "Oh, did I not tell you that?"
Yeah.
I don't think that.
Did I not mention
Well, we
that?
we have a running joke. You can kind of see in that back corner a sliver of a door. That's actually the door to our production space. Okay. And we make a running joke that it's my side of the other mine is the other side of that wall, and this side is Diane and Zach. So there are a lot of things that go on in our tasting room and our sales and our website that I don't get read in on. But I'm also the only one that has another job outside the winery, so I'm gone 4 days a week at the job. So I miss some of that stuff. So me looking over to go, really, we are? It's not an unusual conversation.
Is that Grand Coulee Dam?
Chief Joseph Dam.
Got it. Chief. Got it.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fantastic. You guys are
been great.
This has been fun.
Great.
With a little bit of knowledge, wine becomes a lot less overwhelming. Thank you for listening. Thank you to Zach, and Alan for being here from Silver Bell Winery in Chelan. Go visit them. You will not be sorry. They have a beautiful tasting room. Maybe we'll see you there in September. I don't know. Next week, we will see you with some Washington wine. I don't even know. That's how unorganized we are. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. It's very fun.
Thank you for spending part of your day to wind down with Shelley and Phil. Remember, you can listen to any episode of the Wine Time Fridays podcast by visiting winetimefridays.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And join us on our Wine Time Fridays Facebook page, Instagram, or on Twitter, which is @VintageTweets, for daily conversation. Until next week, here's our toast to you, to health, wealth, abundance, gratitude, peace on earth, and of course, romance.